questions you have about real estate. We got lots to talk about, and as promised at the break, we're going to talk a little bit about radon gas. And it was a gas developed by the Russians, right?
Yeah.
That's what you were saying at the break?
At the DNC. No, just kidding. Oh, the calls are coming in.
Oh, here it comes.
Yeah, take that phone off the hook.
That's right. All right, so Preston, what is it and why should we care about it?
Okay, well, radon is radon gas comes from the breakdown of uranium in the earth. So what happens is the radon breaks down and it comes up into your house as a gas. And the danger is that if you breathe in a high amount of radon over a long period of time, that it gets in your lungs and it further breaks down. And as it breaks down more, energy is released and it can damage lung tissues, which lead to lung cancer. They say over 21,000 people a year die of lung cancer, and they attribute that mainly to two things: smoking and radon gas. That's more than drunk driving. That's more than handguns, more than anything. So it really is a risk. Now you might ask, well, what are high levels of radon? It's measured in picocuries per liter, and that's measuring how it's breaking down. Over 4 picocuries per liter, the EPA recommends that you take action or have a radon mitigation system. Now, radon in North Carolina, it's actually a fourth of the CE continuing ed for all real estate agents this year. So it's really a big thing in the real estate department. The Real Estate Association is pushing for all houses to be tested for radon. And people always ask, well, where is radon? It's been found in every county in North Carolina, all 100 counties. It definitely is more prevalent the further west you get near the mountains, but it has been found in all counties, and it is highly recommended that you test for it in our area as well.
Right. Now, is it, as a general statement, is it more prevalent in homes on a slab versus a crawl space?
Well, Paul, it can be in any type of home. The only way to really know for sure is to test. And also, a lot of people say, well, my neighbor doesn't have it or my neighbor has it. Is that an indication of that I do or don't have it? And again, really the only way to know is to test. And Paul, there's 2 basic tests you can do.
Okay.
There's a passive test and an active test.
Okay.
A passive test is charcoals that you buy. You can buy them at most hardware stores. You can get it at ncradon.org. These are usually about $15. You have to set it out, follow the directions for about 48 hours. You set it out, and then you mail it off. They're very accurate if you follow the directions. It's going to take about a week to get the results. Now, a continuous monitor is if you hired a home inspection company like us or others.
We use you for that.
Oh, thank you very much. Plug, plug, plug. But now
that was gentle.
Yeah, thanks. Thinking Russians again, but I can't pull that joke. But anyway, it's going to cost a little more. That's the downside. The upside is you're going to get your results in 48 hours. You're not going to have to wait a week. But the big difference is, if you just want to find out for your own home if you have high radon or not, highly recommend the charcoals. It's going to be cheaper. But in a real estate transaction, here's the big difference between a passive test and an active test. A passive test, the person could tamper with it, and you would never know. And you might say, what do you mean tamper with it? Well, set the thing outside, put a bowl over it, all kinds of stuff. Open all the windows. There's no way to know with a charcoal. Now, obviously, if you're testing your own home just for your information, you're not going to do that. But you can see where a seller could have incentive to do that if his house or her house is for sale and they think they might have radon, they could tamper with the test. A continuous monitor, it tells if you've done that. It has sensors, it can tell if it's been tampered with.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something that is becoming more to the forefront than usual, and there have been some situations I've read about in Charlotte, in some high rises and other places that you go, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Paul. Typically when we're talking about radon, we're talking about the breakdown of uranium in the earth or down in the ground. But what Paul's talking about, and correctly so, is there's been some high rises that were built around Charlotte that they got hold of some radioactive material in the aggregate for the concrete, so it's actually in the walls. I don't really want to say the exact name of the places on the air, but most of them have been mitigated and have mitigation systems in. I could have a private conversation with somebody, but all of the units that I'm aware of, we have tested them because every time we get one, it is kind of known. It's a material fact. That's another thing.
It is a huge material fact.
Yeah, if a house has high levels of radon, that is a material fact in North Carolina. Also, if they have a radon mitigation system, that is a material fact, even if it's lower now, because the reason is if
Has that
that
changed?
I'm not sure if it's
Mitigation
changed,
system?
but it definitely is the law now. And when I say material fact, I'm talking about a real estate broker. If a real estate broker knows of high levels of radon, or the house has had high levels of radon and had a mitigation system, and maybe even got it down now, it's still a material fact, because should that mitigation system fail, which is usually dependent on some sort of mechanical, it could have high levels of radon again. So it is a material fact in North Carolina.
Okay. Wow, that's good to know. All right, so, you know, as it relates to radon, making sure that we talk through those things,